Let's talk Telegram chats. You are in those Telegram chats and groups. Only Telegram, no WhatsApp, no Signal, just the Telegram?
Signal and WhatsApp are difficult to get in.
Why?
So Signal, I haven't found any Signal apps on phones. I have found WhatsApp, but
so that's how you get in. You find the phones. Mm-hmm. How do you unlock the phones?
Well, one of them, the password was 123456.
Okay.
Some of them are unlocked. I found one from an actual terrorist who lives in between Pakistan and Afghanistan in the mountains. You know, that friendly area where people really like us up there.
Correct.
And I was actually on the phone with Nick Wilson. I was sitting in my truck, and I looked over, and there's a cell phone just laying on the ground. It was almost dead, not all the way dead. I picked it up. There's not even a lock on it. Has the guy's passport picture, itinerary, pictures from home, just everything wide open.
What kind of phone? More Android or iPhones?
Yes, both. And then that, I can't pronounce it, but that Chinese company, Huawei.
Huawei.
Lots of those.
Okay.
So some of them are really good at destroying them. Some of them just, I think that maybe they get spooked or whatever the case may be, but they just toss them. This was, the sun hit it just right so I could see the reflection on it. It was just laying right there, right off the side of the road. And I mean,
it's a good phone. I'm still using it.
So what's funny is the first one, I think I talked about last time, that Chinese phone we found, we started using that to document.
No, you didn't mention
stuff. Use it to take pictures, so I could just keep it on that phone.
So how did you know that the guy was a terrorist?
So he left.
No, not was. He is. He's somewhere.
He is considered. He's in L.A. What's your address? I think he's next door. So he left Pakistan. He lived in the It's called the FATA, the federally administrated tribal area, something like that. So imagine like the Northern Territories in Canada or something, right? Just way out in the middle of nowhere.
Correct.
So as we're going through we're looking through his phone, and we see a letter from the Pakistani government. So this guy is one of the leaders of the Pashtun Tahfuz peaceful movement, and the Pakistani government declared that movement and him and his buddies
a terrorists
against the government of Pakistan. And so he has a letter in there.
And he took a picture of it?
Took a picture of it, and then left his phone on the ground in the mountains in San Diego.
And he had passport 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
That one didn't have
unlocked at all?
Yep.
Oh, man. Okay, so you find these telephones, you get and you look up what apps do they use, and you get into Telegram, and you see that they're in the group chats or chats that are basically discussing how to get into the U.S.
Yeah, how to get into the U.S. So I'll give a broad view, not necessarily this guy, right?
Yes.
So how to get into the U.S. Mainly in the Mexico area. Sometimes the map will still be up on the phone. So sometimes they'll get dropped off by an Uber, sometimes a taxi that's already coordinated beforehand, right? The highway in Mexico, you can look down from the mountain and see the highway right there. Mm-hmm. So you can see the trails coming right up into the U.S. And then, these phones have everything, including, this guy took a picture of his bank accounts, like his checks, and where he worked. But so more broadly, we can see in the chats what they were talking about. Sometimes we can get into their Facebook messages. A lot of them use Facebook. But then I can go much further than that and look at all their map history, so I can see where they went, where they came from, what coffee shop they stayed at. Sometimes they'll take pictures that look like they are checking in, like checkpoints.
And sending the picture to someone.
Mm-hmm. So
like, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So sometimes we will see those text messages, and sometimes they will all be deleted. So,
what kind of operator do they use? Mexican?
You're
finding with SIM cards, right?
SIM cards, but we also find SIM cards on the ground.
So they're keeping the
they are
phones.
using the Mexican cell service, so the Mexican SIM cards. But then it gets more confusing because sometimes we'll see people with 2 or 3 phones. So they'll have like a Mexican phone, their personal phone that they started the journey with, and then a phone that'll work in the U.S.
So in the US, you can buy a SIM card without any ID, right? It only in the gray market. Because once we got here, I was like, I wanna buy a prepaid. I went to T-Mobile and AT&T. You have to get your ID. You can't buy it. I want to say in the whole Europe, it's like for a dozen of years, for 10 years, you can't buy a SIM card without an ID. That was a thing, I want to say like 20 years ago. But since a lot of fraud has been done through the SIM cards, they did this thing that you have to show an ID. But I believe in Mexico you can do it, or it's even in the gray market. So
they probably just have them ready for them to buy in the taxis and stuff.
So out of 100 phones that you find and they are in those Telegram chats, how many percentage-wise of them are Chinese, Pakistanis, or any other nationalities?
So one country we haven't talked about yet is Nepal. We found a lot of stuff from Nepal.
Nepal is Pakistan, Himalayas.
So what we've deduced from that is that these people aren't actually Nepalese people.
There's the Pakistanis.
They went there from wherever, Lithuania, right? Anywhere. They went there from wherever, and they have a counterfeit passport. So it's a real passport from Nepal.
Correct.
It's a real Nepalese passport, but they paid for it. Mm-hmm. So there's somebody that, again, looks like me with a Nepalese passport.
Seems right. Okay.
Looks good, man. So we have a lot of Nepalese. So I would say we're probably at, I don't know if we want to get into this yet, but we actually created a software program to track all this stuff. In this program,
internally,
it's not online, so it's completely secure. This program we can feed it information, and let's say we found a passport, birth certificate, and then what we started doing probably about a year ago, since we talked last, was we take a picture of where we find each thing, so it will mark the location.
Geotag, yeah. Yep.
So I'll have to show you a picture of it, but we can see the percentage of what country we found stuff, or what country was the stuff that we found was from, and then it will start grouping things together. So if it catches, like my last name is pretty unique, right? So if it catches my last name on a piece of paper, it will throw that into that person's file. You'll click on Corey Godero, and it'll pull up my passport, anything associated with my name. So we're still waiting for the government to want to take a look at it, but in the meantime, we're not going to stop.
Have you reached out?
We've reached out to everyone.
DHS?
Yes.
No, don't care? No answer? Or they answer like, thank you, but no thank you?
So I have to be a little bit careful. We are working with some people, but not to any extent that you would think we are.
Not high ranking?
No, extremely high ranking.
Extremely high ranking.
The problem that we keep finding, so extremely high ranking from 3 different parts of the federal government. Mm-hmm. The problem is that with Doge and trying to make all these cuts, there's a massive bureaucracy stopping people like us from getting the information to the people who need it. So we're talking directly to the people who need it, but they are busy trying to weed out the bad people within the organizations before they can even get started. So every 4 years or 8 years we get a new president, right? Mm-hmm. Well, these bureaucrats
stay there.
They stay there. They've been there for 20, 30 years. They don't care. They'll just sit there and wait. You can't fire them. They know that. We can, and we are now.
Yes.
But that's the mentality they've had. So while these people that we're trying to work with are weeding this stuff out, they need a staff of 20, 30 people just to help them do their day job. Mm-hmm. But we don't have funding for that. Congress just passes a new bill, right? But it doesn't happen until October of 2026.
Oh, really?
So
18 months.
So what do we do in the meantime? Where's the money?
So in the meantime, the government is too big and too small.
Yes.
Too big for the...
It's always going to be too big in my eyes.
That's because you're a bigot, conservative...
Exactly. Well, I'm transitioning now. We forgot to talk about that.
Please tell the story.
Into a non-sperm male.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's a new gender?
Yeah.
Do you identify right now yourself as a non-sperm... No sperm...
No sperm...
Male.
Male. Yes.
Male? You sure? Male?
Well...
It depends?
It's fluid.
That's fluid, gender fluid.
Yeah, not sperm fluid.
It depends on the weather. If it's sunny, you're like, you're male.
So I think I told you I thought I was going to a vasectomy consult, and it was actually the appointment. So, and I was there. I'm like, all right, well, too late now. We might as well just do it while we're here. So
you're going to vote Democrat in the next 4 years?
No, never.
So it doesn't depend on the sperm count?
No, it's up here.
If you have sperm right there, maybe. So out of all the chats that you're in those Telegram groups, how many of them are there? Hundreds, thousands, dozens?
Probably close to 1,000 now. Hundreds minimum.
So you're present in thousands of group chats?
Yes.
Most of them are Chinese? The language, let's say the language.
Most of them, probably 90% of them are Chinese.
90%?
Yes.
Wait a minute. So out of 20 million, how many would you say are Chinese that come here illegally?
That's hard to...
Approximately.
It's difficult because remember, what we've been monitoring is just one little tiny section, San Diego.
Yes.
Of the whole border. So a lot of the people we saw were Chinese. Probably most of the people. I would say probably 50%. But then if you look at DHS's numbers, that's not what they saw. That's not what they have notated.
So they claim what? Less?
I think it's less than that.
Because every time we hear that some kind of illegal did a heinous crime, killed, raped someone, it's different than Chinese.
No. It won't be.
Sleeper cells?
I think a lot of them are state-sponsored, and they're just feeding little bits and pieces of information back to the CCP. And we see that in the chats. We see pictures of critical infrastructure. So dams, they're taking pictures of dams, not just the dam, but also the roads around it or the
here in
gates
California,
around it.
in the U.S.
Here, a lot in California, again, probably 90% in California, but all across the country as well. So we see pictures of Vandenberg Air Force Base, and then the gates
What the fuck?
around it. Police stations up by you, pictures of them. Fire stations. So they could go on Google Earth, or they have satellites. They could pull this stuff, but you will never get better information than boots on the ground. So are these people actually doing something illegal?
No.
They just came here. They took a picture of a gate in public. But if you have,
He loves architecture.
if you have 500,000 or 1 million people doing that, these are all data points.
And you've seen them sending those pictures somewhere?
Yes.
Do you know the recipients? Just the phone numbers?
So they're just open in the chats. So anybody.
Also,
can
they're
see
taking
them.
a picture and uploading the photo to the chat. So when you're in chat, do you see how many admins does the chat have?
Yes, and one of the chats we're in has 29,000 photos.
What about administrators?
There's 2.
2? And you can't reach out? You just see that there are like 2 admins?
Well, I could, but I'm not. I don't want to get blocked.
All their names are in Chinese letters? How do they call it?
Yep.
How do you read the messages? Would they translate?
You translate it, yes. The app does it.
How big of a communication happens in those chats? Like every minute, every second, it goes like this?
Let's see. Oops.
29,000 photos?
Pull one up for you to look at here. $29,351 photos and 4,981 videos.
How many members?
This one at its peak had about 15,000, but it's died down. So if you scroll, it'll automatically.
These are the screenshots. No,
that's the actual chat.
That's your phone? So you invited yourself?
Different phone, but yes.
You're a Chinese guy in this phone.
I'm transitioning.
Oh, I got you.
Chinese are probably the most racist people that I've ever come across. In an actual, not joking.
Why? How do you see
Just the
this?
stuff that you read in there is absolutely
Like
insane.
what?
It's not the locker room talk, right? It's not just some guys having fun. It's just crazy.
Like what?
They do not like black people.
Black people?
No, they do not.
Especially black.
Especially.
Why?
They
have no history.
they just reading the stuff through there. They basically think they're just the scum of the earth.
Really?
Yeah. So it's far beyond any just joking.
It's literally their thinking.
Like you're in my gun store and you're black and Mexican and we could all joke around, have a good time, right?
Yeah.
This is far beyond that. They literally think less of them.
I wonder why. They have no history.
Even the color of their own skin, the darker.
I know that. In India, they do the same thing. I know
Mexico.
that Mexico as well. Because the darker you are, the more native you are. It's like, just girls posting their selfies. Someone's meal. And how do they call the groups? It's like what? The purpose of a group is what? Or the name of the group? Because all I see is like pictures.
One of them is just called U.S. immigration.
What's the wildest stuff that you've seen discussed?
Murders.
Murders?
Videos.
Of who?
Whole family.
Other Chinese? What was the context?
No, so that's why I think these are. That's why I think these are information portals, or it's like a Dropbox of information that all these people can drop, because people will just put stuff in with no context.
Like what?
Like that video of the whole family being murdered.
That was a video.
They just dropped it in there. Nothing else. No context, nothing. Videos, pictures of guns. No context. Pictures of like the SpaceX facility or the Air Force Base. Not just a picture. No words, no context, nothing. I think it's a repository of information.
Do you have any idea whether DHS are monitoring those chats?
To my knowledge, they are not. Remember, we still have all of this information, and it hasn't gone anywhere.
You mean the GOAT Initiative, TGI. Right now, it's May 2025. How many IDs do you have?
Thousands.
Thousands. Credit cards? Thousands?
Probably less than 100 credit cards.
Oh, not that a lot. Okay, what about any personal findings, items?
ID cards.
Any other? No guns?
Birth certificates.
Have you ever found a gun?
I wouldn't tell you if I found a gun. No guns.
Knives?
I wish. One time we found it's like a scene out of Scooby-Doo. A ski mask and a crowbar just laying on the ground right next to one of the end of wall locations.
Ski mask.
Yeah. So we looked at our game cameras and there was a guy wearing a ski mask carrying a crowbar, and then the camera disappeared. We've probably had.
Say that once again.
So we have cameras out all over the border, and.
You mean the GOAT Initiative?
The GOAT Initiative, yep. And there's cellular game cameras used for wildlife, right?
What are they called? Game cameras?
Game wildlife, game warden, right?
Okay, I got you.
Like animals for hunting.
Mm-hmm.
So we have these placed all along the border so we could monitor what's going on, so we don't have to be out there all the time. And we could see the hot spots and see the changes instantaneously. We were out there, this was months ago, and there's a ski mask and a crowbar laying on the ground. And then we went to go check the cameras because they weren't sending anything back.
Mm-hmm.
And the cameras were gone. We put 5 up. All 5 were taken.
How high they were?
Some of it, one was we used a ladder, or 2 we used a ladder, and the rest were hidden, like in the bushes, but they're sitting there watching us the whole time. Anytime you're along the border, you're being watched.
Damn it.
So we actually did find a picture on the camera if we went back and looked, because they send the pictures cellularly. So we don't have to have the physical camera. Now, the quality is much better when we pull it from the camera, but there was a guy wearing a ski mask in one of the last pictures.
Bro, maybe that was the new James
Bond.
Bond.
Yeah.
So have you ever been asked the question, why do you do it, like from the government?
No, they've been mostly non-existent.
So you care like 10 times more than they do?
I don't want to say that we care more. It's.
But you observe, you collect the items, passports, IDs, and they don't. You have it, they know you have it, they don't take it.
So the question here is, who's they?
Yeah, who's they? Since the administration has changed, but the California is like a whole new another country. So the California government does not care, but they are not the Fed. Those are the border patrol agents. They have to care. The DHS have to care, but it's a federal agency, not the state agency.
So is this a border patrol DHS problem? Because their job is to maintain the border and stop illegal immigration
and they did
anything crossing the border, right? Drugs, whatever it is.
Yeah. So since January they do.
Yes.
They do their job.
Yes.
But since that was happening years prior to that, this is not their jobs. So whose job this is?
Well, whose job is it now that we have all these documents, we have all this stuff, and we still find it today. We'll still go out there and find stuff. Every time we go out there, we never come back empty-handed. That's how much crap is littered along the border.
Yeah, but since immigration almost stopped, those are the old items from back in the day?
Yes and no. We went out last Saturday, I believe, and we found some new stuff.
How do you know it's new?
The weather that's out there along the border is just where I live. You leave something out for a week and it's already bleached from the sun.
I got you. Okay.
But we also know because we were there before and it wasn't there.
Yeah, but maybe because of the wind.
Yeah,
But the bleach stuff.
We found three ID cards from the same family in the same spot, which we were just in the week before. So, but most of the stuff is old that we find out there. But so where does this stuff go? What are the intelligence requirements? So I'm not trying to talk down on anyone, but the lone border patrol agent who is sitting there in his truck in the air conditioning, just making sure that nobody's crossing. If he finds an ID card, or let's say he finds a passport, who does he give it to?
To an officer who's above him,
And then what does
above
he
the
do?
ranking.
This is where the problem occurs. They know the stuff's there, but they don't know what to do with it. They've tried previously to give it to their superiors, and
Sure.
they're like, "What do you want me to do with that? I don't know what to do with it." So we've been saying this for over 2 years now, TGI, that we believe that there is not an entity along the border, not a federal agency, not a task force that is focused on what we're focused on because of bureaucracy, because of funding, because of sanctuary laws. There's a million different reasons, right?
Because it's new.
Pride has been the downfall of this country for a while now. We've been too proud to think that we could ever be invaded on our own land. You have these rednecks online saying, "Oh, if it ever happened here, I'd be out there with my guns." Well, I didn't see anybody. Saw me and my friends. That was it. So it's you see the comments. I'm very sick of these people that said they were going to do something and 20 million people came in. But so we watched it happen and we started collecting this. We couldn't physically stop people, right? Or from California,
Yes.
I'd be thrown in jail. So we did everything we could, and
You stop them and talk to them.
we stopped, we'd talk to them, we would take pictures of them, we would take pictures of their documents, because we didn't know if they were going to be gotaways. They could still get away from right where they were at that time. So we just have all this information, and back to pride. So I really think we've been too proud, and we continue to be too proud to even look back just a few months ago and say, hey, it happened. We were invaded. What are we doing to make sure that never happens again, regardless of who's
In charge.
And what are we doing to look back and figure out how it happened and who's actually in the country?